Someone replied to me on a comment saying this. This video is not to make fun of him, but just explaining the difference between remakes and remasters because a lot of people is still confused of the two. The term remaster is something that's used across multimedia as a whole, with the term holding significance when it comes to the likes of music and film. Remastering usually involves enhancing the quality of an original master version, meaning the fabric of the source is merely enhanced rather than modified. Within video games, this same rule usually applies, with the most popular form of remastering being based on fidelity and resolution. To put it simply, remastering an old game will make it look less like pixelated vomit on your fancy new TV. In spite of this basic definition, remasters can still shift in quality, which is regularly down to how much exertion has gone into each occasion. The PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 saw plenty of HD remasters, primarily comprising of ported titles that weren't already consistent on the previously mentioned hardware. Other than upscaling the initial title to an HD resolution, there's small else that recognizes them from their original form. This type of HD upscaling could also be achieved through backwards compatibility or through using additional hardware to upscale a retro console. Some would say this specific type of HD remaster is the same as stealing the wheels off of someone's bike to resell back to them, which we're somewhat inclined to agree with. Gratefully, the art of remastering games has come a long way. Instead of basically upscaling the resolution, remasters such as Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age revitalized the game's textures, execution, and soundtrack. With buyers anticipating more from their video game remasters, straightforward ports are getting to be less common. As a result, numerous distributors have wandered into not just including clean, or maybe modifying games from the ground up. The word remake basically means a completely new game based on an older game, usually a classic, but there are variations on how this is defined. Video game remakes in the classic sense seem nearly be seen as a process of painting by numbers. Numerous of these projects will essentially take the first game's mechanic loops and concepts and modify them utilizing cutting-edge technology with superior controls and regularly modern assets, with the result usually being an experience you're familiar with but much more polished. Great examples of this type of remake are the likes of the Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Medieval, and Shadow of the Colossus remakes, which in their new guise are visual recreations that bear an uncanny resemblance to their original retro counterparts but aren't exactly the same game. Now though, we're starting to see total remakes that are more than just a better version of the original. They're essentially different games, even if they use the same story, setting, music, art style, or gameplay ideas. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is a prime case of this, ditching the conventional turn-based shenanigans of the original and instead utilizing the mechanics of modern Final Fantasy titles. In any case of Final Fantasy VII's total upgrade, Cloud still slips into that charming purple dress like he's supposed to. Resident Evil 2's 2019 Remake 2 is designed to mirror the original as much as possible, but instead of the 1998 version's fixed camera angles, it's a more modern over-the-shoulder third-person shooter. This approach shows how you can give people a comfortable dose of nostalgia while still making a best-in-class game for today's players. No wonder Resident Evil 3 got the same treatment. If one thing is certain, it's that repackaged nostalgia sells. The later wave of retro recreations from the PS1 has stamped a new culture inside the industry, one of which selects to utilize the advanced standard of innovation to breathe fresh air into classic franchises and reintroduce them to a new group of onlookers. While trying to differentiate between a remaster and a remake can sometimes prove a bit technically confusing, it is worth noting that trying to use these labels as an absolute will likely never prove accurate, in which case you'd be best to adjust your expectations. The only supreme in this energetic industry is those old games on your shelf that have as of now been made and mastered, no matter how disillusioning their modern day revival may be. Guys, that's it. If you guys like the video, leave a like, let me know what you think of the video, and as always, I hope you enjoy.